Holyfield pulled a Muhammad Ali-like upset to join Ali as the only man to win the heavyweight title on 3 separate occasions. The real deal capped upset Saturday when he ironed out his differences with Mike Tyson in the 11th round. Tyson was saved by the bell in the 10th. Referee Mitch Halpern said that he stopped it after 37 seconds of the 11th when Holyfield hit Tyson 9 straight times in the head. Halpern said the man was out. I stopped it because he was hurt.
The one thing is this, I realized what I was facing. And my whole thing is that when I come to fight, I bring everything with me. I knew that I would have to pray to be in there to be with the man.
I probably knew Evander for 12 years, 13 years, and I take my hat off to him. I just hope perhaps one day we can do it again.
Match to rematch. If you're suspicious about the sport of boxing and wonder if someone perhaps wanted Evander Holyfield to beat Mike Tyson Saturday night just so they could, say, fight again, there is this to consider. Even if Tyson had won, say, in the 2nd round, there might still have been a rematch. Charlie Steiner leads our coverage of Holyfield's Holy Cow.
It may not have been the greatest upset in boxing history, but it sure was one of the great stories of all sports. In 1996, Evander Holyfield's upset of Mike Tyson here at the MGM Grand Garden. After the fight, immediately talk of a rematch. Evander Holyfield initially said he's going to think about it and pray about it. And then we talked to him immediately after the fight, and then suddenly he had a different tune.
Would probably have to be Mike Tyson again if I fought. You know, even as they talk about Michael Moore, I'm like, you know, that would be good. And they talk about Leonard's good, that would be good. But the most important thing is that somehow, because Mike Tyson gave me an opportunity, it's always seemed like, well, I give him an opportunity back.
So it sure sounds like we're going to see this all over again, doesn't it, Al?
Well, you know what? The interesting thing about this is if Evander Holyfield can go to the well one more time in terms of conditioning, he has one very big advantage stepping into a rematch. He has the game plan to beat Mike Tyson and did it once before. It'll be interesting to see if they get it done.
Does Mike Tyson have the game plan or the corner that can create one for him?
Well, Tyson's got to get that proverbial eye of the tiger back. Isn't it amazing what happens when a fighter takes out his pacifier out of his mouth and puts his gum shield in his Evander Holyfield did? He challenged Mike Tyson all night long. Now the challenge is up to Mike Tyson. Can he come back, get serious in training? You know, it was the heaviest he had weighed, 222 pounds. That leaves me to wonder, Tyson maybe did not train as hard as he thought he did entering this fight.
So there you have it, and the most unexpected of outcomes. Evander Holyfield, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world. For John Saraceno and Al Bernstein, I'm Charlie Steiner.
It was a fight that will be remembered forever. Two of today's greatest heavyweights went toe-to-toe. And the whole world watched the unbelievable happen. Be a witness to boxing history. Tyson versus Holyfield on America's #1 boxing network. Sunday evening at 8 o'clock on Showtime.
Amazing how it seems that the memory of 20 poorly matched fights and 20 other assorted black eyes for boxing can be wiped away by one championship night. And that's what Saturday night was. Evander Holyfield's stunning win over Mike Tyson that gave bookmakers a well-deserved and much-needed bath. The fighter, who admitted to being beaten up regularly by his sparring partner before the Tyson fight, appeared on the Jay Leno show, and then even bigger on our Up Close with Chris Myers. He likes Mike.
How much longer do you want to fight?
Well, it's hard to say right now. I just got out of a tough fight, and I'm resting, and I'm going to continue to pray, and a decision will be made.
All right, rematch talk, March already, the Tyson and you. Might it be that soon? Will you give Mike Tyson a rematch?
All right, if I fight again, most likely, you know, I would give Tyson a rematch. But you know, right now, like I said, I'm still praying and just want to do the right thing.
Ironically, Tyson's next fight was already set. Michael Moore was supposed to be next on March 15th. Oh, the best laid plans of Mice and Mike. You can obviously scrap them. Tyson now is expected to have a couple of tune-ups before that now highly anticipated rematch with Evander. Rich?
Now at Up Close, he stunned Mike Tyson in the boxing world with a monumental victory to become the heavyweight champ for the 3rd time. Evander Holyfield is up close, up next.
From the ESPN studios in Los Angeles, here's Chris Myers.
Hi, how you doing? Welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us. In a moment, Evander Holyfield will be here in the studio to tell us what was really behind his victory on Saturday night. Also, if there'll be a rematch or retirement for the new champ. Headlines, Los Angeles. We're happy that Frank Sinatra has returned home, but while in the hospital, old Blue Eyes watched Saturday night's fight with his daughter, Nancy, and they wagered on the bout. Nancy won $10 from her dad. She had Holyfield. He had it his way. When we continue here on Up Close, we'll talk boxing with a guy who fought it his way. Evander Holyfield, the new heavyweight champ, joins us here in the studio. Stay with us. I know you will.
Today's headlines are brought to you by Radio Shack. You've got questions. We've got answers.
It was a night of redemption for boxing. Evander Holyfield, who opened as a 25-1 underdog, stunned Mike Tyson Saturday night to win the heavyweight title in Las Vegas. The first three-time champ since Muhammad Ali in the heavyweight division, and we welcome Evander to the program. Champ, nice to see you, and thanks for coming by.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations. Have you had a chance to kind of unwind a little bit since Saturday night?
Just a little bit, not much.
Now, when you were out there and watching you after the fight, you seemed very animated in what you had to say. The impression was that you were fighting for more than Evander Holyfield Saturday night.
Well, yes, I truly feel that, you know, I'm led by the Spirit. And the point of being led by the Spirit, more than yourself, is pretty much the world was looking at me, and it was a message to cross the world to let them see that the difference between two different people and how one drive off their strength. You know, when we both get in there and we both give our all, it always comes down to you have to be able to call upon something to go that extra step. And, you know, I've always been a believer in Christ, and I'm able to call on Christ to give me that extra step.
But you've gone into fights confident before. Were you as confident going into this one? More confident, a little less confident?
Well, I was more confident going into this fight, and
why?
Because all the things that led up to this fight should have come off in 1991, but it didn't. And all the, I guess, the roadblocks that try to prohibit this fight from coming about. You know, I just continue to pray, and my life, my boxing style started taking a spiral. People stopped believing in me, and people tend to forget about all the good fights I had. They always talk about the bad fights. And I realized that every time there's a roadblock, that means there's something positive behind that roadblock.
So you've been gearing up for this fight. I mean, this was your Super Bowl, if we can call it that, for a long time, since it never materialized, because even this fight, going in, people said this fight is taking place 5 years too late.
Well, you know, pretty much, you know, I truly believe things happen when they're supposed to happen. Maybe 91 wasn't the year it really supposed to happen. It was talked about. And I think coming in 91, people already predicted the fight could go either way. I truly believe for God to get this message out, it had to be a different way that would have to really start in people's mind to the point more than just ability. Yeah, we both had ability, but it's just in life, we all have ability, but when pressure come up and doubt come up, some people choose not to face the challenge. And because of my belief in Christ, I'm able to push forth when pressure time comes.
So that was your advantage over Tyson Saturday night more than anything else?
Well, I did truly believe that, you know, when it's all come down, we're people, and it's how people handle pressure, and people tend to fall back because they don't have nothing to call upon.
Mike Tyson, people viewed this as, and even when he was introduced, booed, you cheered very, very loudly. They were chanting your name through the fight. I mean, that happens sometimes, but this was very, very heavily weighted in your favor, the cheering, the rooting. It was almost like you were the anti-Tyson. It was good versus evil. There was that perception.
Well, I'm thinking you can look at it two different ways. When, you know, people put their money on the line, so their heart was with me, because a lot of time I don't truly believe that a lot of people felt that I could win. But, you know, their heart goes out because they like to think that a guy that good could win. And so I guess in the fight, came a point where the art was so crazy, it made people bet. So everybody kind of went for me.
That's where a lot of the trigger was. But back for a moment in 91 when the fight could have or should have taken place, and you said, hey, things work out for a reason. At that time, you would have been given more of a chance to win. Going into this fight, you were given very little chance, not only by the odds, but you even heard things like washed up, he's past it. How much more did that motivate you in this fight?
Well, it's not so much it motivated me to do anything. I knew who I am in Christ. So because I know who I am in Christ, and I know that I can always call upon Christ to be able to inspire me to even work even harder. It's just like the scripture that I put down, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ. It's something a person has to really call upon themselves when pressure time come on for them to step out there and be able to face reality. I realized that Tyson was a tough fighter. I realized that Tyson knocked all them guys out because Tyson was better than them. And the intimidation, these guys, the one that accept the intimidation. With me, I realized that there wasn't no fear there. Only things that was stopping me from being the very best that I could be would be myself.
Did you intimidate Tyson?
No, I don't think so. I think I went out there and did a job. I think Tyson's the type of person that'd be hard to intimidate. But the point is that when pressure meet pressure, then people gonna have to make decisions, and somebody gonna be able to focus and be able to do the things that's necessary to win.
Was Tyson less of a fighter in this fight than what you had seen? I mean, you were ringside there in 90 when he lost to Buster Douglas in the stunning upset there.
Well, no, I truly believe that one give their all at times, and anytime someone's fighting someone back, then it's gonna be difficult. It never make any difference how good you are. You're only as good as the opponents that you face. Then once you get someone that have just as much talent and just as much heart, and a person that believe just like you believe, that it's that desire and will, determination, which is good to have the Holy Spirit to be followed behind.
How come the Holy Spirit wasn't in Mike Tyson's corner?
Well, because God is there for whoever called upon them. If you choose not to call upon them, then you're out there. God is for everybody. All you have to do is call upon them.
Were you surprised that Tyson and his camp, that they were so gracious in defeat afterwards?
Well, no, not really. You know, because I truly believe that when everything comes down, a lot of people look at boxing like it's not a gentleman's sport. It's not a sensitive sport. We all get in there and we all want to win. And we do what's necessary to get ourselves conquered up and to be able to do the very best that we can do. Then afterwards, we always shake hands and all that. It didn't surprise me.
Now, some things were misconstrued about what you said beforehand about fighting a convicted rapist. Did you ever say anything along those lines about Mike Tyson, that you would not want to fight a convicted rapist?
No, not at all, because the whole thing is I have respect for anybody, and we all have our trials and tribulation. And the most thing I try to stay out of things that happen outside the ring, and I'm the one that said, you know, should just a man and what his talent is. His talent is boxing. The things that he did well, he did it in the ring, and what he did in his personal life was, it's his business.
Yeah, well, not that I'm being judgmental here, but Tyson, it seems like he's not your kind of guy. I mean, you guys are very different outside of the ring.
Well, we believe in two different things, so our lifestyles is two different, but...
Does that help you in the ring when you're fighting a guy like that?
No, well, in a sense, you know, I call on my strength regardless. That's in everyday life. It's not fighting. Boxing is not the omega. For me, boxing is just an aspect of my life. I call on the Lord when I wake up in the morning just to get through the day.
Do you have to not like the guy in the ring to really fight well against him, and is that the case with Tyson?
Well, not at all. Is that case, you know, with Reddy Bow, I like Reddy Bow. My friend Henry Tillman, I fought him. You know, you fight a lot of people that you like. The one thing is that what's motivating me is the love. I love what I'm doing. And that's the whole sense. When you love what you're doing, you can go into that and know that it's a contact sport, and we both agree to do it, and we do it in the ring. When we get out the ring, we'll talk about it, and we'll laugh about it, but we'll let everybody know that we're not going to do it free.
No, certainly enough millions have changed hands. Right before the break here, do you think, because many people think, I feel this way, that this fight, your victory at this time, saved boxing? Do you agree?
Well, you know, I guess it's a matter of opinion. With me is, you know, boxing do need an uplift, and I think things change kind of give boxing, you know, eye-opening. All the things that happen in boxing, the riots and stuff after the fights and things like that, I think it do happen. But I also think it's helped it for us making people respect boxing a little bit more, because I think what Tyson did, proving point that he wasn't that total bad guy that everybody think. He reached out and shook my hand and said, you know, hey, you the man, and he appreciated and all that. I'm saying, you know, that take a lot of heart for one to knock everybody out, and when it comes down to his day, and being able to take it like a man.
We're talking with heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. You're watching Up Close here in Los Angeles. We'll talk about the rematch with Tyson Holyfield, and we'll have Evander take us through Saturday night's fight round by round when he took care of Mike Tyson. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away.
Music Express, voted #1 by the National Limousine Association, has offices in Los Angeles and on the East Coast. Music Express can handle your corporate needs anywhere in the U.S. and worldwide. And guests of Up Close stay at the Beverly Prescott, L.A.'s premier boutique hotel. Call your travel agent to make reservations at the Beverly Prescott, a Kimpton hotel.
We're back Up Close. Thanks for staying with us and talking with the three-time heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. And you had said after the fight, after the victory over Mike Tyson, that when he was out of boxing, that you lost your desire to fight. Why was that?
Well, because pretty much how the media had built Mike up, and people in general will always say, well, you didn't beat Mike Tyson, even though I knew Buster beat him and I beat Buster. But somehow it was something that the people really felt that they were going to miss, as Mike Tyson and myself didn't fight.
And you wanted to see it too.
Well, yes, but my whole thing is, in anything, I want to be the very best that I could be. And being the very best doesn't mean you got to fight the best. So that means that you have to pick guys out that you feel that is good. And Mike Tyson was one of the guys that I really felt that was very good at the time.
And the desire showed. If we can go back through the fight a little bit, we'll pick a couple of the rounds. First, in the opening round, did he come out as aggressive than you thought he would?
Well, no, I felt that of all the people in the world, Mike already respect me. And I knew Mike would run across the ring and jump on me like he jumped on the other guy. But he did come out and hit me with a straight right here the first shot, though.
And your reaction? You took it, obviously.
Well, I took the shot. It was a hard shot, but I realized that Mike hit hard. So to get hit hard by somebody who hit hard, why would you be surprised?
Did he hurt you at all in the fight?
Well, you know, hurt is a different thing. It's when you get hit, it can hurt if you take it that way. But, you know, he rallied me, but, you know, I thank God for giving me the strength to come back.
Yeah, because you never looked like you were in trouble. Round 6 when he was in trouble, when he was knocked down for only the second time in his career. Did you know at that point, did you feel like you had the fight won, that it was in control?
Well, I hit him. I don't think I really hit him on the chin, but I hit him in the collarbone and chest area, and he fell down. And
so was it, in your mind, though, was it a solid connection?
Well, it was a solid shot because he went back, but I didn't feel that he was hurt enough for me to just go out there and just jump on him.
Was he a different fighter in the ring after that round?
No, I don't think so. Every shot that Mike threw at that time, he was still trying to take my head off of it.
Well, he would do that in his sleep, but it seemed like, and he even said there was a point earlier in the fight where afterwards he didn't remember too much of what was going on. Could you sense that he was that dazed?
Well, not really, because I realized that I have fault, and when guys hit me hard, it's like I tune everything out, and my big thing is to hit them back, and a lot of times it don't go to the point where that you remember everything that you do.
Yeah, you know, in the last Bo fight, you knocked him down, but then he came back to win that fight. Did that at all cross your mind in this one?
Well, not at all, because I let the past be the past, whether good or bad. You know, you have to live for the day, and you know your mishap, the good things and the bad things, really behind you.
Now let's go to round 10 as we're getting closer to the end of the fight. At this point, you must feel like I just play it safe these last 2 and I'm the champ.
Well, no, because in the 10th round, I came back. My corner people said, pray.
Right. You're usually the one saying that.
Well, Don and everybody, the whole corner was saying pray. So when I went out there, I realized that it was easy to hit Tyson with the jab at that point in time, and I could work the combination, and I could use my boxing skills, so I didn't have to get inside and go punch to punch. I could stand from the outside and hit him with the good shots.
Were you surprised with how well it was going? Because often you have a strategy, you have a plan, you go out there, but then the other guy kind of fouls things up or gets in the way of that. But this seemed to be working the way you would want it to.
Well, you know, I wasn't surprised. I was focused, and I know that I was led by the Holy Spirit, so I knew everything would be right, and everything was just going clockwork, and each and every time I go back to the corner, I would pray and I would give God the glory.
Was Tyson talking to you at all through the fight, or even before, moments before?
We were talking to each other, about different things. He would hold my arm and he would headbutt me, and and I look at him and I would say, is this what you want to do, like that, and we had a communication type thing in there.
Really?
It was amazing. We were looking in each other's eyes and stuff like that, and we would try to do the same thing to each other. He would try to hold my arm and twist my arm, and I'd grab his arm and do the same thing. We were going back and forth because it's just the strategy of the game, that the things to get a guy out of his rhythm.
So did he say anything that stood out in your mind?
Not really.
You were able to ignore him until the 11th round, obviously, when the fight was stopped, the TKO. Was that the right call? Would you have liked to have seen the fight continue?
Well, no, I think even in the 10th round, I think the shots I hit him with the 10th round, the fight could have been stopped then.
Really, in the 10th, it could have been?
Yeah, they chose not to stop it. And when he got up for the 11th round, he was still hurt. You can see it in his eyes real badly that he was hurt. And the whole thing is that I had to go out there and continue to, hit him with good shots. And even though he stood up to all the shots, but that's the time when a person really can be hurt.
Sugar Ray Leonard said that when he fought Marvin Hagler finally, it was a prerequisite to fulfilling his life. Do you feel that way about this fight?
Well, that's no doubt. I think if I didn't fight anymore, I would be just as happy. But one thing I could say that I got a chance to fight the guy that everybody in the world considered the best. And he wasn't washed up, and he fought a good fight, and we both fought a good fight, and I got the victory.
We'll continue with Evander Holyfield, talk to him about fighting with a lot of heart and about the possibilities of a rematch, which we all expect, between Holyfield and Tyson. We'll be back up close from Los Angeles in a moment. Don't go away. More with the heavyweight champ. What about the rematch? Will it happen? Why won't it happen? We'll ask Evander. Holyfield, the humble warrior, came out a month ago. Good time. We're going to change the amazing story of the two-time heavyweight champion of the world to three-time, and he is up close with us. And also Showtime, you'll be sitting down with Mike Tyson to review that coming up this weekend. What kind of marketing endorsement plans do you have spinning off of this fight?
Well, we're working on a man by Steve.
Your agent, attorney?
Yes.
Endorser? Okay, Lee Steinberg.
Yeah, Lee Steinberg. And we doing tours and things like that, and getting people to realize that, what is my really purpose? And my purpose is to help the young people and to let them know that it's not where you're at, it's where you're going.
And you have a great story in terms of coming back, because after the loss in '94 to Michael Moore, doctors found a hole in your heart. At least that's what was said, and it was looked as if you would never be able to fight again. You went to a faith healer, obviously your faith in God that you have talked about. Is it a miracle that you're healthy and able to fight and be a successful fighter today?
Well, it's by God's grace, and it's not so much I had a hole in my heart, but I've been given another chance, and the Lord has blessed me. He blessed me with this victory, my health and my strength, and a new wife, and what more can you ask for?
And good health. And now, any chance from doctors now, do they still caution you or warn you? Is there any danger or fear by still fighting because of your heart?
Well, there's no fear in men. There's no fear in men. Everything is all right, and I think I'll live as long as God will allow me to live.
How much longer do you want to fight?
Well, it's hard to say right now. I just got out of a tough fight, and I'm resting, and I'm going to continue to pray, and a decision will be made.
All right, rematch talk, March already, the Tyson and you. Might it be that soon? Will you give Mike Tyson a rematch?
All right, if I fight again, most likely, I would give Tyson a rematch. But right now, like I said, I'm still praying and just want to do the right thing. If
I fight again, so might you retire on top of the world?
Well, that could happen too, but the most important thing right now is to enjoy the victory and continue to give the Lord the glory.
How much will money figure into things? You could get $35 million to fight Tyson again.
Well, your money's good, but but the most important thing is you got to know where money come from. It's come from above, and as long as I keep my relationship with the Lord and continue to give him glory and continue to praise him, that, you know, money would be there.
All right, so right now, if you had to guess, though, you'll fight again.
Well, if I had to guess, that's how good.
Okay, good. I want you to guess. All right, hey, thanks for coming by, especially timing over the weekend. Have fun. Best to you and the family. Come see us again, all right?
Thank you.
And congratulations again. The heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield, with us here on Up Close. We appreciate him being with us on the program. Join us on Tuesday. Jerry Jones of the Cowboys joins us. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good one. We'll see you.
I think boxing has gotten a real boost in the arm with Evander Holyfield's victory over Mike Tyson. Without question, particularly in the heavyweight division, boxing was suffering a great deal of quality oppositions. Mike Tyson was dominating everyone.
And I think you even made the remark, maybe I'm paraphrasing, before the fight that, hey, really all the boxing has going for it, especially in the heavyweight division, is Mike Tyson. But Evander has helped to change that. He was kind of the good guy that people were rooting for. And I know you were wowed by what happened in Las Vegas.
I tell you, I think it was beautiful. Not that Mike Tyson lost the fight, but I think it was beautiful the fact that here's a man, Evander Holyfield, who has such a strong spiritual conviction that 99.5% of people said, you'll get murdered. And he said, you know what? I'm a man. He said, the only person that could hit me that I didn't hit back was my mother. That was beautiful. And he said, you know what? If you hit me, I'm hitting you back. And he stood his ground in there against Mike Tyson. And he pulled off an enormous, an incredible upset.
Should there be a rematch?
I think the fans, particularly ones that lost a great deal of money, would want to see
quite a few.
They want to see a rematch. But you know what? That's all up to Evander Holyfield.
How about Mike Tyson's perspective, Ray? I mean, how is he a changed fighter for life based on, and this is different from Buster Douglas, I think, in a number of ways, but how is he affected by this? Forget the one-loss result for a moment.
Well, you know what? I think that for Mike Tyson, he's going to need to do some soul searching. Because, again, I think physically Mike was in shape, but I also believe that mentally and spiritually he didn't have as much, because everyone assumed that this would be a walkover, a total mismatch. And even though the person, Tyson, didn't necessarily believe that, but still it's always there. It's always there. Those guys saying, you know, man, one punch and the fight's over. You know, Evander Holyfield has heart problems. He has this, he has that. He's 34 years of age. Evander Holyfield is a fighter.
And desire sometimes takes you further than physical ability, which we saw. If they fight again, would Tyson will be the favorite, no doubt, right? You would pick Tyson.
I don't, you know, with these guys, I never really select one or the other. But I think that Tyson may be, again, the favorite. But styles make fights, too. I think people fail to realize that. Styles make fights. Evander Holyfield had a certain style that he stuck to, a certain plan, a certain tactic, a certain strategy that he stuck to. Hitting Mike, tying Mike up, breaking the rhythm, and using his jab and not being intimidated.
Saturday's Tyson Holyfield war, some brave souls in the boxing industry were predicting it would be the sport's first $100 million fight. Not quite. Showtime says 1.6 million homes bought that fight, making the entire promotion a $60 million fight. An outside analyst says that the buy number of the fight was actually about 1.3 million.
Before Evander Holyfield took in the Knicks game, he spent Thursday morning in his native Atlanta enjoying a Peachtree treat parade thrown in his honor. Unlike the parade thrown for the Yankees, there were no 8-foot-long snakes and no guys named Freddie banging pans with spoons. Just a cozy lunchtime crowd on hand to cheer on Holyfield, who Mayor Bill Campbell called, quote, a classy champion. Sounds just like Willie Brown, huh? Holyfield spoke after the parade and reiterated if he fights again, he'll probably give Tyson a rematch. Stewart.
A fight that will be remembered forever. Today's two best heavyweights went toe-to-toe. And the whole world watched the unbelievable happen. Now, be a witness to boxing history. Holyfield, Tyson, coming soon, only on Showtime, America's #1 boxing network.
On Saturday, November 9th, Las Vegas, Nevada was the site of one of the most memorable fights in boxing history. The public had waited 5 long years to see Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield meet in the ring. The stage was set for this highly anticipated heavyweight championship. Tyson versus Holyfield, finally. Former undisputed heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield looked to make history by joining Muhammad Ali as a three-time heavyweight champion. Holyfield started out as an overwhelming 25-1 underdog, but by the time the fight began, he was down dramatically to 6-1. Despite the odds, he had guaranteed a victory. Mike Tyson arrived on the scene looking determined, like a man on a mission. This would be the 5th fight since his comeback, but his toughest test. Tyson, the WBA heavyweight champion, was eager to defeat his longtime rival, validate his comeback, and enhance his awesome mystique.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Albert, and welcome to this Showtime boxing special as we look at one of the most memorable and compelling fights in boxing history. Tyson versus Holyfield, finally. A fight that was put on hold for 5 years and turned out to be well worth the wait. To help us analyze what happened on November 9th, 1996 in Las Vegas, we have with us here in the studio the new WBA heavyweight champion, Evander Holyfield. Evander, thanks for being with us. Also via satellite hookup from his home in Southington, Ohio, the man Holyfield beat in such stirring and dramatic and surprising fashion, former world heavyweight champion Mike Tyson. Mike, we thank you for joining us as well. We'll get the thoughts and observations of the two fighters along with a panel of boxing writers. All that following the replay of the fight. Now, some of you may be seeing Tyson versus Holyfield for the first time. Others may be reliving it. In either case, we return now to the MGM Grand Garden in Las Vegas, Nevada, the site for Tyson versus Holyfield, finally, one of the biggest upsets in boxing. So there you have it, a night to remember. Evander Holyfield with an inspiring performance, living up to his word as he guaranteed the victory over Mike Tyson. Holyfield defied the odds and the critics as he stunned the boxing world. And with that, let me reintroduce our special guests. First, here in the studio, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield, taking time out from a very busy post-fight schedule that had to be highlighted by a parade through his hometown of Atlanta. And it must be noted that Mike Tyson sincerely attempted to join us here in person. However, circumstances required him to be at home in Ohio at this time. And so by way of satellite from his home in Southington, Ohio, graciously joining us, the former heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson. Now, in addition, we'd like to welcome a special panel of boxing writers. Ron Borges of the Boston Globe, Ed Schuyler of the Associated Press, and Vic Ziegel of the New York Daily News. All right, let's begin by taking a look back at round number 2, a round that all 3 official ringside judges scored in favor of Evander Holyfield by a count of 10-9. This is a productive and effective round for Holyfield as he counterpunched well and landed some nice shots on Tyson. And really, for the first time in a while, we're seeing a Tyson opponent actually fight back and provide some very hard answers. Evander, first of all, unlike so many previous opponents, why were you not intimidated by Mike Tyson? And tell us also about your strategy at the start of the fight.
Well, you know, as far as intimidation, to be the very best that you could be, you could never be intimidated. And, you know, you learn that through amateur and as a professional, it should already be instilled that if you're going to win, you have to make things happen.
And your strategy at the beginning?
Well, you know, the strategy was not to go backwards at all. I kind of felt that in all the fights that Tyson always had, people that went backwards were always in trouble.
And Mike Tyson, you seemed concerned or puzzled at this early stage. Were you?
Not at all, but I didn't remember too much of the fight. We had, me and Evander, I don't know which round it was, perhaps the 3rd round, we had collided heads. We were both leaning, we collided heads. And from that point on, I really didn't know basically anything that happened.
All right, right now, we're going to get into that a little bit later, but let's fast forward and take you to round number 5, in which Mike Tyson was able to bounce back with a solid 3 minutes. In fact, winning on 2 of the 3 judges' scorecards with an even round on the other. We go to a highlight from round number 5. For the first time, Holyfield stopped short. Holyfield tagged several times coming in, and a low blow by Tyson made matters worse. At the end of round 5, Holyfield seemed tired as he went to the corner, which raised some eyebrows concerning his stamina, which had been a question mark going into the fight. Obviously, as the fight unfolded, it was not a factor. Mike, were you gaining confidence coming off of round 5 from what you can remember?
I don't remember that round at all.
All right, and Evander, let me switch to you. With that in mind, were you concerned at this point?
No, I wasn't concerned. Mike was able to catch me with some good shots, you know, a good body shot, then with the uppercut. But, you know, his hands was fast, and he was just getting off good shots. You know, about anything, you have to weather the storm. And he was just, at that point in time, he had the momentum going this way.
Mike, let me ask you a question. You say you can't remember anything pretty much from round 3 on after the clashing of heads. Did you get an opportunity to watch a tape of the fight?
This is my first time viewing the fight.
Okay, so now, as we get back to things, so after 5 rounds, it is close. It's anybody's fight, but the mere fact that a Mike Tyson fight had lasted 5 rounds was somewhat of a story in itself. Tyson versus Holyfield was already almost as long as Mike's 4 previous bouts combined. Let's take a look at the scorecards through the first 5 rounds. You see the first 3 there show you how close it was. Roth had a 29-28 Holyfield, 29-28 Holyfield by Shirley, and Volmer had it 30-29 for Evander Holyfield. And as we take a look at rounds 4 and 5, 48-47 through 5 rounds for Roth, 48-47 for Tyson. By way of Shirley, and Volmer had it 50-49 for Holyfield. Keep in mind, WBA rules, they go to the scorecards on an accidental foul after the end of 4 rounds, which leads us to round number 6, of course, a most pivotal round in this fight. Round 6 was significant, first of all, because of the headbutt that produced a cut over the left eye of Tyson. It was also a round that featured the knockdown. Tyson off his feet for only the 2nd time in 47 fights. The result of a short left hook, and for the first time in the fight, the sellout crowd of better than 16,000 started chanting in unison, Holyfield, Holyfield. Now, Evander, the intensity level was extremely high. The crowd was delirious. You're concentrating so hard at this point. Did the crowd have an effect on you?
Well, I mean, it's good, you know, that chanting your name, but one thing you have to do is stay focused and not get to the point you get reckless.
Mike, how about you? Did the crowd have any effect?
I don't remember anything.
Well, how disoriented were you here in round 6 due to the clashing of heads, not only from this round, but round 3 as well? How disoriented were you?
I'm trying to remember. What I remember in the fight. There's 2 things I remember. I remember after the end of the first round, I believe, my trainer asked me, he said, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm in good shape. I can fight like this all night." And I remember, I don't know if I even remember being knocked down. I think it was just an incredible feeling. And the only thing I remember, I don't remember going to the locker room, changing my clothes. I remember being in not the dressing room, in the press conference. And at the press conference, that's the only thing I remember.
So were you fighting on instinct?
Listen, I've never been in that predicament before. I don't know what people call it, instinct or anything, but when the fight was stopped, the first thing I said was, what happened? I didn't know what happened. And when we were at the press conference, ironically, I was about to go in and say something, but John Horn had said, "No, Mike, listen to me. Don't say that. Say this, say this." I had thought I knocked Holyfield out. I didn't know that I had lost.
Did you say you thought you knocked Holyfield out?
Yes.
That's unbelievable. You were that confused at this particular point?
I didn't know what happened. I didn't even believe, just by looking at this fight, I didn't even believe that I was fighting this well. I couldn't imagine that. I didn't know what was happening.
What about those chants of Holyfield, Holyfield? They weren't ringing in your ears?
No, I didn't hear anything.
Mike, what is it like seeing this now?
I've discovered some very interesting things about Mr. Holyfield.
Like?
And I just look forward to I believe we have a rematch in March, and I look forward to the rematch in March.
As you look back, were you satisfied with the advice you were getting from your corner?
I don't remember anything. I don't remember them saying anything. And if they told me anything, trust me, it was appropriate advice. It's just that I wasn't coherent enough to take the advice in.
All right, Mike, let's examine the headbutt even closer by taking yet another look at it, since this had a major bearing on the fight and preceded the knockdown. Give us your perspective on the butt as we take a look at the slow-motion replay. Take us through this, if you can. What exactly happened in your view?
I don't remember. I just remember the clashing of heads. We clashed heads, and I didn't feel too well after that. And I'm
Were you at all, were you alarmed by the sight of your own blood, something that you had never really seen or seen much of in the ring?
No, I never, it never bothered me.
Did you think you were ahead after 5 rounds, therefore hoping they'd stop the fight and go to the scorecards?
I don't remember that. I don't remember about being ahead. I don't remember anything.
All right, once again, let's take a look at the slow-motion replay of the clashing of the heads in round 6. Let's get the perspective right now of Evander Holyfield. Here it is again. Evander, was the injury to Tyson a product of the infighting or completely accidental in your perspective?
Well, I think it was accidental. I think what was happening is that Tyson kept trying to come forward, and I had to press the fight forward because neither one of us would give up the leverage. You know, even when the referee said back up, he wasn't going to back up, and I wasn't going to back up because I realized that for me to get back, I was just only getting in the range for him to hit me. So the whole thing, the referee had to do his job because I wasn't going to back up any.
Were you particularly concerned or fearful when the doctor came in and checked out the cut that they may actually stop the fight?
Well, no, not at all. My whole thing is I had envisioned this fight that somebody would go, I felt that I was going to win, and I felt that I would win by a knockout. And I felt that it was impossible for the referee to come in to make a decision like that, or the doctor make a decision like that.
You realize, of course, at the end of 5 rounds, Tyson was ahead on the scorecards, and had they gone to the scorecards because of an accidental foul, Tyson would have won the fight.
Well, I have faith in the Lord, and I realized that whatever happened, I felt that it would be in my favor. And when I went into the fight, I went in 1 round at a time, and not so much. It had to be 3 rounds, 5 rounds. It was just 1 round at a time.
Okay, Evander, after the butting incident and the cut that followed over Tyson's left eye came the memorable knockdown in round number 6. It was the result of a short but most effective left hook thrown by Holyfield, which sent Tyson flying back to the seat of his pants all the way to the ropes. Now, what created the opening for the left hook?
Well, the thing is that, I bent my legs and I stepped to the right, and Tyson was moving into the left hook, and I bent my legs and I got a lot of power on it. I think I hit him somewhere in the chest, because I don't think I actually hit him on the chin. I kind of called him in the chest.
What was going through your mind when you saw Mike Tyson on the seat of his pants?
Well, I realized that, watching Buster Douglas say Mike is more dangerous when he hurt. So the approach had to be careful. I didn't feel comfortable to just rush on him and just throw a lot of punches, because I realized that when he fought Buster, every time Buster had him hurt, Mike would take 1 shot and hurt Buster. So I realized that I had to stick with the game plan regardless to how hurt I felt that he was at the time.
Mike Tyson in Ohio, we're going to take one more shot at this here. Is any of this familiar to you? The knockdown in the 6th?
Not offhand. I'm going to tell you something that's so ironic, because I actually as you see there, that wasn't a legitimate knockdown, as Evander stated, because I didn't get hit with. I was a little bit off balance, and I was hitting the chest, and I wasn't hitting the vulnerable place in the jaw or the eye or anywhere that caused me to fall. I was more off balance than anything, and I went down, and it was called a knockdown. And I believe I said to the referee, I don't know what the heck I said, but maybe I said, God, I probably thought I knocked him down. I don't know. I was just, God. And trying to explain to you now is really embarrassing, because I really don't know what went on.
So you're saying because you didn't get hit in the face, because you got hit in the chest, in your mind you don't consider it a legitimate knockdown?
No, I'm saying I was off balance and he hit me in the chest. And if you view it again, you'll watch my legs and watch. It wasn't a hard enough punch to knock me down or anything.
So were you more stunned than hurt, or what? I mean, you did go down.
I went down, but I don't remember anything from a brutal punch. I know I got up and I said something to the referee, but I don't remember even what I said to him.
All right, Mike, so now we're through 6 as we take a look at the scorecards and see how the judges had the fight at this particular point. All 3 judges, Roth, Shirley, and Vollmer, gave Holyfield round 6 by the score of 10-8 by virtue of the knockdown, and there you see the scorecards after 6. All 3 judges had Holyfield ahead heading into round 7, and at this stage, let's bring in our trio of boxing writers to get their thoughts. And Ron Borges of the Boston Globe, how did you have the bout scored at this point?
I had Holyfield ahead at that point. I had given Mike the 4th and 5th round, and otherwise I gave the rounds to Holyfield.
Now, we should point out you were the only writer polled to pick Holyfield to win, a chance for you to gloat, Ron. What did you see that so many did not heading into the fight?
Well, a couple of things. First off, I thought Holyfield's punching power was really being underrated by a lot of people. He dropped Riddick Bowe, the only man to drop me. He did it with 1 shot. He dropped Ray Mercer with 1 shot. To me, that was a pretty strong punching guy. And really, other than the Chez fight, this was the first time since he was a cruiserweight that he was going to fight someone really smaller than he was. So if you're going to drop a 250-pound guy, what's going to happen when he hits a guy in the lip who really hasn't been hit for 5 years? And what happened was pretty much what I thought.
Ron, next time try to get the round right, will you? Ed, Skyler, how'd you see it at the midway mark?
I had Evander up by 3 points after 6, with 2-point round in the knockdown round, of course.
And how about Vic Ziegel? How'd you have it through 6?
I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I had it the same way the judges did. Evander up by a point.
All right, so now we come to round 7, in effect another pivotal round because of another headbutt, but this one I think a little more clear-cut as Tyson came charging in. Let's have a look. Here's the replay in slow motion as Tyson came boring in. He hit Holyfield's head and reopened the cut. You see the reaction by Tyson. Mike complained to referee Mitch Halpern about Holyfield using his head in the clinches. The crowd booed as Halpern called in the doctor to take a look at Tyson's eye. And Mike, your knees buckled after the headbutt with about 15 seconds left in the round. How much trouble were you in at this point?
People close to me had told me that that we had crashed heads and my knees had buckled, and I didn't remember that. I just didn't remember ever being hurt or anything.
Okay, again, let's move ahead to the end of the 9th round as Evander Holyfield continues to rack up the points while Mike Tyson continues to try and solve this dilemma in front of him. We once again check the official scorecards through 9 rounds of boxing. Holyfield leading on the cards after winning the last 4 rounds. Now, Evander, heading into the 10th round, did you feel as if you were in command?
Well, you know, at that time, I realized I didn't have to stand in front of Tyson and struggle forward, push him back. I realized at this time, only thing I had to do is use my jab and just use my boxing skill at this time.
All right, so that brings us now to round 10, another big round for Evander Holyfield. In fact, it was a round in which the fight almost ended. As it turned out, it only prolonged the inevitable. Let's revisit round 10, one of the most exciting rounds of the fight. Evander, your strategy was working well up to this point, jabbing and counterpunching, keeping Tyson away. No reason to change things now, right?
Well, not at all, because the whole thing is that, you know, I'm the fresher person at this time, and the only thing I have to do is really just stay away from it and be able to block the big shots.
And Mike, what were you trying to do here in round 10, if you can recall? Were you just looking to land that one big punch?
Whoa, man, I don't know what I'm doing here. I just don't know what. But this is a really bizarre dilemma right here.
In your corner, were they telling you to throw combinations, to jab, to try to be more elusive? Can you remember that?
I don't remember anything, but the press conference.
Were you surprised by Evander Holyfield's strength, particularly his upper body strength?
Listen, I was like this since the 3rd round. I was in that condition since the 3rd round. I can't believe that it lasts this long.
Let's take another look at the final round of the fight. That is round number 11 with the call. You gentlemen here in the studio, all take a look once again. The championship rounds, round 11. And now, here we go.
Mike Tyson is a warrior too, and he's still gonna have that natural power. That's the last thing that'll go. Evander's got to be careful here to hold on, but he has fought a perfect fight.
No matter what happens from here on in, we are looking at a sports legend in the purple trunks, Evander Holyfield. Holyfield continues to dig in. A left hook to the head. He's got Tyson in trouble. Tyson's ready to go. A straight right hand. The chopper stops the fight, and Holyfield has won.
I can't believe what I'm seeing. It's the most unbelievable thing I've ever been privileged to witness.
Mayhem. It is bedlam. Evander, tell us about that finish. You had to be going into that 11th round looking for the finish.
Well, you know, when Mike got off the stool, his legs wasn't there, and I realized if I put a few punches, you know, they should stop the fight. But the point is that I didn't actually think the guy was going to even stop the fight regardless. And you know, I thank the Lord that he did stop the fight when he did, because Mike, a durable guy, and he was going to sit there and take the shots. And you know, this thing is a sport, and everybody needs the same protection. I just truly believe that if I got hit with some of the shots like that, they would have stopped a lot quicker. But if they're going to be fair, then they need to be fair on both ends.
Mike, you agree with the stoppage?
Yes, I did.
Now, we should point out Holyfield was ahead on all 3 cards through 10 rounds. Shirley had it 96-92, Vollmer 193, and Roth saw it at this point 96-92. So it's Evander Holyfield by TKO at 37 seconds of round number 11. The so-called bad blood that was generated by Team Tyson prior to the fight was turned into the utmost respect following the fight. It was as sharp and dramatic a contrast as you'll ever see in terms of the pre-fight and post-fight press conferences.
I just want to shake your hand, man. It's been so long. I just want to touch you.
Right on. That's what I want to see. Congratulations. We are chosen.
I went in there. I fought and gave my best. I was tired and just kept fighting, and I got caught in some exchanges, and he fought a hell of a fight, and I just commend you. Thank you very much. I have the greatest respect for you. And by the will of God, hopefully we can do it again. Thank you.
A gracious and courteous Mike Tyson. There was so much hype about the animosity between Tyson and Holyfield going in. Mike, was there really bad blood from your end? Tell us. Were you genuinely angry with Evander?
I never personally had any bad feelings with Evander. I just really believe that I'm the best fighter in the world, and he was in my way of staking that claim. And the statement about what he said about that incident about me in prison, that had no validity. I didn't care if he said that or not. The real example was that we had to fight. He did say it, even though he claimed that he didn't say it. He said it, and he should have just been man enough to say it. You know what I mean? But that's hearsay. But I'm just looking forward to March to do it again. That was a very interesting night and exciting night, and I think we owe it to boxing to do it back again in March.
Evander, while you're here, I've got to ask you, prior to the actual conviction, did you say that you wouldn't fight a convicted rapist or defend your title against a convicted rapist, as John Horn and Rory Holloway, his managers, Mike Tyson's managers, contend you did?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
All right, let's bring in our panel of writers and give them an opportunity to fire away at Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson. First, Ron Borges of the Boston Globe.
Evander, Mike said right after the fight how much respect he had for you and so forth. But today it sounds a little bit different. Maybe I'm taking it the wrong way, but it sounds a little different to me. He's talking about you being out of it since the 2nd or 3rd round and surprised that it took that long to stop him. Is it bothersome to you to hear some of this, that it doesn't appear that he's seeing the fight the same way?
No, it don't bother me, because, you know, one can be hurt and continue to fight on. You know, a lot of times, you know, I got hit one time in amateur, and I didn't remember anything. When the fight was over, I wanted to get back in the ring. Found out I had a slight concussion, but, you know, at that time, I didn't remember anything. And sometimes you can go on because I think your desire is what pushes you on beyond the pain and what you're going through.
And Ed Schuyler of the Associated Press.
Evander, did you have a sense that something was wrong with him after the third round? Could you tell that maybe he was out of it?
Well, not at all, because Mike was still throwing combinations, and Mike wouldn't let me fight inside. He would grab me at times, and he just wouldn't go backwards. And both of us couldn't get room enough to fight inside, and because he wouldn't go backward, I wouldn't go backward either, so I wasn't going to let him have the advantage, so the referee's work was cut out for him.
And Vic Siegel of the New York Daily News.
I'd like to ask Mike, Mike, since the first punch you threw in that fight put Evander into the ropes, and you landed some good shots the first 2-3 rounds that you must remember, were you surprised that they weren't having the effect you might have wanted?
No, that's not true. I knew he was a durable fighter, but I just knew it would be a matter of time that I would wear him down and the fight would be over. I had never anticipated what happened that night to happen. I'm just happy that we're both healthy and we're both okay, and we can do it again in March.
All right, Mike, we pose these questions now for our three writers. What did this fight do for Evander Holyfield in terms of vindication, plus the effect it had on Mike Tyson and on the sport of boxing in general? Once again, let's begin with Ron Borges of the Boston Globe. Ron?
You know, I think it's funny in a way. It seems like even after this victory, Holyfield's not getting all the credit that he deserves from a lot of people. You know, I mean, people come up to me in the street and say, well, you picked him, but I don't really think he would have won if this happened or that happened or something else. So it's kind of odd to me that even after the victory, he almost has to do it again before anybody's going to accept the first victory for him. I understand why Mike would feel that way, but it seems like so many people now still are insisting he beat him twice to get credit for one victory.
Ed Schuyler of the AP.
Well, I think that's true, but I also think that's a natural reaction following any major upset in sports. There's always people say, oh, it was just a fluke. I mean, I think that's just human nature. I don't think he has to beat him again to prove that this was legitimate. I think he wants to beat him again to prove this was legitimate. And as far as hurting boxing, upsets don't hurt boxing. They help boxing, probably.
How about Vic Siegel?
I don't think I'm meeting the same guys that these two people are meeting. The guys I'm meeting were very impressed by what Evander did. The guys, they talk about how good a fight he fought, and they were shocked by what happened. And I do agree, though, that it's terrific for boxing to have a competitive situation.
Evander Holyfield, is a rematch definitely going to happen?
Well, I wouldn't say definite, but, you know, I look forward to it. I'm one of the type of people that pray about everything, and I just don't want to go into the fight too early, because the whole thing is that my shoulders, you know, I do have shoulder problems, but the most part, I look forward to another challenging match with Mike Tyson.
Is it realistic to say that if there were to be a rematch, the month of March would be it?
No, I think March is too soon. There's no doubt. You know, I wouldn't be able to be prepared to go in March.
Have Michael Moore's people contacted you, the IBF champion?
No, no one has contacted me. You know, I just been resting and been traveling, and going to different places, doing different interviews. But no, they haven't.
What about retirement? Some people say Evander Holyfield should go out on top. Is retirement a possibility?
Well, that's possible too, but the most important thing is that I want to do what's right, and I want to do what's right for myself.
And Mike Tyson, how about you? The sooner the better in terms of a rematch?
Well, by deciphering what Evander is saying in New York over there, I could see that this rematch doesn't look like it's going to take place, because he's not speaking to somebody with any zest for a rematch. You know what I mean? I went through the same situation with Buster Douglas. I don't feel confident about a rematch now because of his outlook. I could be wrong, but just by his demeanor over there, by saying it's too long, I believe rematch. Anybody, when I fought somebody and it was debatable, and somebody made a complaint about it. I said, well, we fight it back again. When I fought Razor Ruddock, and I was willing to fight anybody right back. What, a month later, 2 months later? But I don't see Evander with that kind of zest ready for a rematch.
Evander, is there anything that you can say right now to give Mike some more confidence that there'll be a rematch?
The only thing I can say is this, is that, I know my body, and it caused me to lose the championship when I fought Michael Moore after I had a tough fight with Riddick Bowe. I got in there with Michael Moore, my arm went out because the fact is I didn't get the proper time to heal up. And, my whole thing is that it's just a point of respect. I have a lot of respect for Tyson. I know that I have to be at my very best as I go in there again. I'm not going to go in there, unprepared and find myself fighting at a disadvantage. I have respect, and if it takes me a little bit more time to get together, then that's what it takes.
Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, we thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We really appreciate it. And once again, thanks to our panel of boxing writers, Ron Borges, Vic Siegel, and Ed Schuyler. Many, many thanks. And so finally, Tyson versus Holyfield enters the annals of sports history. It was a night of vindication for the sport of boxing as two great champions came together. Vindication for Evander Holyfield, who again proved his many critics very wrong, and certainly vindication for Mike Tyson, the victor in so many battles, now a winner in gracious defeat. We hope you enjoyed the Showtime Boxing Special. Until next time, I'm Steve Albert. On behalf of our entire crew, saying so long from New York.